What's going on, everybody? I'm Matt Harmon. Welcome to the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast, and it is a hell of a day to talk ball. The forecast is presented by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, who's all in all season. And joining me today is Nate Tice. Nate, very exciting episode we got before us today.
It's the episode that we're always like, is this the week for this? Is this the week for this? And it's like, nope. We held steady. You held steady because I wanted to push it a couple weeks ago. So you held steady. I'm very excited to get into this because I think it's always a fun topic.
No doubt. Today, we are doing a little rookie check-in. And yeah, this is the perfect time to do it because now, especially for some of these receivers, they've started to get a little bit more playing time. So we've got some real data here to work with. Nate, I actually do my rookie report for reception perception, all the charting, like the mini samples that I put out. I put that out before week 11 every year. I give myself a couple more weeks to gather some more data. So it's not technically mid-season. It's a little bit past mid-season because, yeah, especially for those receivers, you need a few extra games when the teams start to trust them and stuff. So that's going to be the main topic today. In the first two blocks, we're going to dive into the fantasy film room, and we are going to look at running backs in the first segment and then pass catchers in the second segment with, of course, a deep dive on some of these rookie receivers. Then we'll preview Thursday Night Football. Lamar Jackson allegedly back for the Miami Dolphins matchup here on Thursday. And then Nate is going to depart for the final segment where Joel Smyth joins me for a little Buzz is Building. But with that, let's get into it. Let's jump into the fantasy film room. All right, welcome to the Fantasy Film Room presented by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, who's all in all season with another year of Toyota game day giveaways from NFL shop gear to even Brock Purdy's favorite Sequoia. Toyota is giving fans a chance to win big. Visit toyota.com/NFL to learn more. All right, so like I said, for today's film room, we're doing a little rookie check-in. We're not going to break down every single name here because this would then be a 4-hour live show. Unfortunately, I'm going to try to make Nate restrain himself, but I'm also going to have to restrain myself here a little bit. So this will be an exercise for both of us here, buddy. But yeah, I'm going to throw like players in buckets. Going to toss them to Nate and see what he thinks. We're also not really going to hit on quarterbacks because we talked about Jackson Dart last week. And then the other two who matter, Cam Ward, I guess Tyler Shuck as well, Dylan Gabriel. Those guys will come up in other sections of the show. So let's jump into it here. Let's start with the running back position. I have 3 buckets for these players. We've got starters. These are the running backs that are averaging 10-plus fantasy points per game right now. We've got have had moments. These guys are 7 to 8 points. And then stashes and second half hopium. Yeah, that's the official category on that one because that's what a lot of these guys are going to be relying on here. So let's start with the first bucket. In the starters, I have Cam Scattaboo, sad face, 14.5 points per game. He's leading rookies. He's not going to be back, obviously, for the rest of the season. Amarian Hampton also banged up as well. Kind of some weird injury timelines and stuff going on there. We also have Quinshon Judkins and Ashton Genty in this bucket here. So, I mean, guess Judkins on his bye week and banged up as well. So, a lot of weird stuff going on with even the guys that we feel best about from a scoring perspective. But, Nate, I throw those 4 names at you. Who's someone that stood out to you, good, bad, maybe different than what you thought about them coming into the league?
I like all 4, and that kind of makes me feel better about my evals because, I mean, these are 3 of the top 4 backs I had going into this year's draft class. Scattaboo is a lot like James Conner to me in good and bad ways. He invites a lot of contact. He makes a lot of contact miss. He also runs over a lot of contact. The injury was a freak thing, though, and that's the thing is I don't want to go like, oh, because of his running style, it's this, and that. That was just a freak instance of how the catch was, how the tackle was, or the target, I should say. But I just really like him. Like, I don't know how long his career will last because he does invite all that contact, but I do like him when he's on the football field as a bell cow. And I think, of course, they like him. The coaching staff does. I mean, just watch Brian Dable. But I mean, just going through all these guys, Ashton Genty is exactly what I envisioned. I would say the one thing I would say my negative with him, too, is he also invites contact sometimes that he could avoid. And that's always just like, hey, you don't need to do that, especially on this team, this Raiders team right now. But he is not a bust. He is not any of that. Underlying numbers, eye test, everything. The Raiders situation's so messy, and this guy is so talented. You can see the flashes of what he actually is. So, and then I think Hampton too has been I mean, the Giants game before he got hurt was fantastic, even on limited touches. And I think he's just been exactly as advertised: a big play waiting to happen, a better runner, more patient runner than maybe he even showed in college, but also a more physical runner at times. That Giants game again stands out to my mind. And also, he's first in forced tackles missed rate in the entire NFL, according to Next Gen Stats. He's just injured, and the injury's a little. I don't know. Like the injury is like he was apparently still in a walking boot, which is not, you're hoping for a 4-week, comes back. I think week 10 would have been the week he comes back, but it might be more of a week 12. And I don't know anything. I'm just kind of reading between the lines, but he is, I mean, if you can buy him low in a redraft league or something like that, I would absolutely try to, because he is super talented, worthy of that first round pick. Chargers offense is pretty cool when it is rolling. And then the last guy, Quinshon Judkins, is kind of a funny back because he's been a better pro than maybe even a college player. He was super talented out of Ole Miss, gets into the split backfield last year. Like the NFL game suits him more. Those duo runs, the under center stuff fits his skill set better. And he has a funny little missed tackle stat, and that's kind of indicative of how he runs in the offense they run. A lot of duo. And so duo can be, nothing really happens. You get like a 1 yard gain and it's ugly. But also you can bounce it to the outside and make a corner missed. So he doesn't have a ton of missed tackles forced. He's 25th in totals missed tackles forced, but he's 7th in yards after missed tackles, because he's able to make that. A lot of run schemes go to one guy. You have to make the one guy miss. This is why DeAndre Swift I'm always so low on, because he never makes that one guy miss. Judkins, when he gets that opportunity, makes the one guy miss. So it's kind of I really like his game. It's not that he's not the most explosive back, but he's already had some big runs, but he is a doubles hitter, and they like him because they're trying to give him touches. Hopefully he stays healthy as well.
No, I love
ran
that
through all 4.
shout out. Yeah, you ran through all 4, which is what I said we weren't going to do. But these are the big.
I know. I was like, I don't know what to
breaking down.
I was like, man, I want to talk about all these guys because they're so all interesting. That they're all bell cows. Like if they are healthy, these guys are worthy of those touches.
100%. And like, obviously we don't have to talk about Scadaboo any further because it's over for this season. We'll revisit it in the off season. But with Judkins, I really liked what you were saying there. And I saw Hayden Winks kind of talking about this today on Twitter briefly, that, how sometimes missed tackles and yards after contact end up becoming the guiding light running back stats, but they are often incomplete because I think they can be inflated by big plays, but also because like when a running back can get to, like if they can get to the corner and just make the safety miss, like there's no contact. You didn't like break a tackle, but you read the play out well, you got to the edge and you made it happen. So that's why I think that what you noted about Judkins there is really instructive. And I think that's a great way of saying it too, that I think he feels like a better pro than college player. And I mean, now the guy that people, I don't know where you had Judkins and Henderson ranked relative to each other, but it felt like more people were excited about Henderson, and we'll talk about him in a second. He's struggling a little bit to adjust to the pro game. So that makes a lot of sense actually to me that, he's just this better pro player. And from a fantasy standpoint, he's not the only one that we'll talk about this. There's another guy in the next group that has this sort of same problem, but when you're a guy that's a base down back that doesn't play in the passing game all that much and you're on a bad team, it just can be really problematic for fantasy. So we've seen the moments where, against the Dolphins, Quinshon Judkins can be one of the best backs on the slate because that's a game the Browns were controlling. How often are the Browns going to control many games throughout? So I do still think Judkins is from a dynasty standpoint somebody I'd really want, because if this team can figure it out, big if it's the Browns, but if they can figure it out in the future, that would be a really appealing situation for him.
Yeah, I had him 3. After Genty, Hampton, and then he was 1 though going into the season, and then Genty was 2. It was like a 1A, 2, 1B with Genty, and Genty of course had the huge season because his Ole Miss tape was when he was the guy getting all the touches, and he was highly paid going to Ohio State with the NIL stuff, but it was just because they won the national championship, it worked to perfection. It was just that because of their run style, Henderson, again, like we'll talk about, those outside hitting runs may be better in college when you are truly the fastest guy on the field. And then now with Judkins, it's more, the thing was his 5th gear, his top speed wasn't great. And it was kind of like almost like a Diet Coke Bijan Robinson, kind of like where it's like, but he can get that 1 to 3, 1 to 2, 1 to 4, like the shiftiness. It's not the jukiness, but the shifting of speeds is really just kind of been like, that's why I think it's more like conducive to the pro style, which is more at you runs, more downhill runs because of just the systems that everyone uses. So yeah, I've been really encouraged by his tape. It's kind of one of those I didn't know how to feel about him after last year because I get the sexiness wasn't there, but it's like, I don't know, he's just a good back, and good backs have a way of sticking in the NFL.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the best of this group. Like, we'll see about Genty. He's very, very good, but just from like a production standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends. I just don't know what to make of the Raiders, man. And I think that there's a chance that whole regime gets sent out of the door after 1 year. It's just very weird. They're signing Tyler Lockett for no reason. Like, it's just very weird right now.
You can't get over that. That's so funny.
I can't. No, I can't. I'm still stuck on that. You looking for a house? Are you looking to sell? Because
I know I might have to. I know I gotta call him.
You gotta call him. You still got connections in that building? I don't know. But anyways, like, I think that you just look at this group right now. It's a good group. I think they should be foundational backs, and Hampton's definitely somebody I'm really excited to see when he gets back there, because I like your points about him. He was really, to me, improving. The first couple weeks, I was like, some of these concerns that folks like Matt Waldman had. I think James Coe talked about this too. Like, the guy, he might not be ready to pick up like a full gap scheme from a vision standpoint just yet. He can hit explosive plays, but like hitting the singles and doubles, that is what I saw in the first couple weeks. Like, if he doesn't get that lane, it's tough. Mm-hmm. But the more he played, I think the more patient he became, and I think he just was getting more experience reading it out. He was really starting to hit that stride as soon as he got hurt. So I'm definitely excited to see him back out there, especially because he's a great, and he'd be such a perfect answer right now for Justin Herbert under pressure, because Herbert's already got that in the back of his head with the Austin Eckler days, and this is just like a big physical specimen here. So certainly would be nice to have him back there. He's definitely somebody, I'd say if you're one of these teams that has a winning record, you've only lost one game, got an IR spot, something like that, try to trade for Amari Hampton. It's like, if you don't need him right away, stick him on your IR spot. Unfortunately, my one Hampton team is like my one truly bad fantasy team this year, so I might not be able to make it. I don't know if I'm going to make it with Hampton, but we'll see. Let's move to the next group here. These are the have had moments players to me, and this is an interesting one to discuss. These are the 7 to 8 points per game running backs here. This is Woody Marks at 8.9, RJ Harvey at 8.8, and Bill Krosky-Merritt at 8.7. Nate, I throw these players at you. Who's stood out to you so far?
Oh man, Harvey most recently. It's kind of the flavor of the week. It really feels like with these three. I'll start with a negative before I get into the positives. Okay. Woody Marks isn't that good. And that has kind of been really hard. He's not a needle mover. Like, they actually had some good opportunities last week, and he's just running into the back of guys. And okay, it might have just been the one, extended sample size and everything, but and also just statistically, it's just a really tough thing. So he's just one of those guys that he's going to be fine in this situation, but not a guy that's like, yeah, you got to give him touches and like watch him go with it. It's more like default, the two sweetest words in the English language. But Harvey, I think it's I got to keep the Simpsons references. But RJ Harvey to me is the most talented as far as all around backness, as far as what he could become. And also, I think the Broncos are using him in a better way. The thing is just J.K. Dobbins is always going to be lurking because that's by design. That's what Sean Payton's always preferred. And so it's just that you might get it. You're not going to play the Cowboys defense every week. So it's more one of those, it's like, yeah, he's useful, and then in the long term, I like him, but redraft, I'm trying to even gauge what he is because he's explosive. He's getting better between the tackles. He's a good receiving back. That I think that's good, of course, but it's just usage. It's just that Dobbins is always going to get touches. So it's more just like, yeah, it's kind of going to continue maybe some frustrating weeks where he's not getting those, even though he is explosive. And then Bill is just more, the Commanders are just such a mess that it's just, he is also explosive. The run game is really cool. That has been the most consistent and good part of the Commanders offense. The underlying stats are good. Eye tests are good, is good. I just think he has some fumble issues, but it's not damning. It's just more game script right now. They have a bad defense. They kind of have other role running backs. It's just kind of a messy situation for him, but he is a talented back. But I think he's going to kind of stay in this role and the kind of steadiness for this year at the very least. It's more like, man, it's just tough situations for all of them. And some of it's in a good way and some of it's in a bad way. And it's just kind of hard to maybe even break out of this tier because of that.
100%. And for Bill, I agree. I totally agree with you that when you just lay eyes on him, you could tell that guy can play. Like, he's really explosive. Right. He can get to the edge, and I think he's a tough runner as well. He's better. He is certainly better than Brian Robinson was for this team, and you can understand why they made the move to get away from Brian Robinson and to go for Bill Krosky-Merritt based on what they were seeing in training camp. So I totally understand that part of it. It's just as you mentioned, he's a game script sensitive back, and the last few games they've just not been in good scripts at all. That's been a huge, especially the last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Cowboys. We'll see what happens with Seahawks and Lions the next 2 weeks. That's not all that promising.
Two of the best defenses in the NFL. Right. So
yeah. And two offenses that can score on their defense too. Mm-hmm. That I think is the bigger problem. Like, if you're a 2-down back and your defense is bad, that's almost just as bad as your offense being bad. And this situation kind of has both, because the offense is underwhelming right now as well with all of the injuries and everything like that. So when Jaden Daniels is back, and if he's fully healthy the rest of the season, obviously, like, that's going to be – then it's the time to play Jacory Krosky-Merritt. I mean, week 11, they get the Dolphins in Spain. That should be the time to play Bill Krosky-Merritt. So I think you kind of can know when to use him. He's just not an every week set it and forget it guy.
Yeah.
And my last point on him is, you mentioned these other role-playing backs. Like, Jeremy McNichols is good. Like, McNichols came into the league a bajillion years ago and was like this super athlete, and kind of just – I remember when he popped up for Washington last year, I was like, damn, Jeremy McNichols is still like hanging around, and he's good at pass protection, and he's really good with when he's made plays with the ball in his hands this year. So, like, he's not going anywhere. That just is what it is. On Woody Marks, just real quickly, I mean, even you saying that about no, but like it's just right now he's the
best situation to run away with, but it's more like, he's just fine. And that's kind of what's exactly. If the other two were in this situation, they would make more of it. But it's, again, we're talking fantasy, and situation is huge for these guys. But that's what's just, it's tough from an eval / fantasy kind of perspective.
But yeah, like the YouTube chat, you're seeing this if you're watching this live. Woody Marks ran away with our poll of this trio who's going to be the best rookie running back rest of the season. 51% of the votes for him. And yeah, he's got the clearest runway. But I think that can also help, Nate, you saying that. That's why, like, Nick Chubb is still hanging around here. There's a reason that he hasn't been completely removed from the situation just yet. So that can also help us kind of manage those expectations. On RJ Harvey, when you just watch him in isolation, because I agree with you, like, J.K. Dobbins has been good this year. He's probably not going anywhere. Do you see a player in R.J. Harvey who, like, can he grow his role based on his own individual play the rest of the way?
Yeah, they just have to trust him in protection. That's always going to be the young guy thing. You know, he's just had a kind of wonky kind of play history because he was a former quarterback, kind of like, you know, how he was used in college and all that. And also and for a lot of offensive coaches, they don't really trust young running backs to do that. And Sean Payton especially goes like, you have to earn this right to be like the pass protection back and then to like really be that stuff. I think his big thing is running between the tackles. And I think maybe even for them, it's like, well, if we have an in-between tackle run, we're going to go Dobbins. Like, I think they still have that. But he has improved already in that area. And maybe it's one of these where it's like he has a big performance and it's like, okay, now we trust him with not just these designer plays. He's like a shot play running back right now. Like, you know, he's in there for when he's in the game, he's in there for a reason. Like, he had the receiving touchdown at the end, and that was a designer play where they're beating man coverage. And that's what it kind of is. He's kind of like, all right, he's on the field. There's a reason he's on the field. I should have looked up his, like, I used to look up this for Jamal Agnew of all people, touches per snap, touches and targets per snap. And because Jamal Agnew was like, when he was on the field, he got the ball half the time. It was like the biggest tendency in the entire NFL for the Jaguars. Don't get me going on Doug Peterson anymore. But with RJ Harvey, right now it's just more like that's how they use him as selectively. I'm hoping that it just more becomes a 50-50 split. But I think in their head, they're like, all right, we got a duo power run. All right, Dobbins time. All right, outside hitter. Okay, Harvey time. Like, and that's just, it's segmented right now. Very siloed.
100%, yeah. But I think there's a chance where he can improve. But and obviously Dobbins is a guy who hasn't stayed consistently healthy. So he does need to get better in pass protection. Like, that's the reason that Tyler Bidet keeps like popping up for some of these games here. So that's going to continue to happen. Okay, let's get to the next group because this is interesting. Stashes and second half hopium. I've got a big group of players here. Travion Henderson, which You're down bad because he's in the stashes in second half hopium. People did not expect him to be here, but Travian Henderson, Bashal Tutin, Kyle Monungai, Dylan Sampson, Ollie Gordon, Brashad Smith, and then Jaden Blue, Caleb Johnson, LOL. I mean, 0.9 points per game for Caleb Johnson. That's easily the worst first round rookie pick you could have made this year. And then your guy, Devin Neal, pops on this list at 0.9 points per game, but he is on the rise because he popped up last week. So just real quick, God, yeah, Caleb Johnson, what a rough run out, because we talked about this during the draft. Like, he was a perfect scheme fit for this outside zone stuff for Arthur Smith, and it's just like it could not have gone any worse for him. So we don't even need to say anything about him. Like, it's just not. It's over for this year, and it might be over. Period. We'll see. But let's talk about Travian Henderson really quick, because I found these stats interesting from Dynasty Zoltan. Split these up for Travian Henderson. We mentioned inside-outside runs. You said the outside runs, he was explosive in college, right? So if you look at his yards per attempt, 2.9 yards per attempt on inside runs, 6.1 on outside runs. Missed tackle force rate, 3% inside, 48% outside. Explosive run rate, 3% inside, 22% outside. And if you look at like his next gen stats, not route graphs, but run graphs, all the outside runs look pretty good. Everything inside, not very good. Is that oversimplifying it, or is that part of the reason why Henderson has not been unleashed by this coaching staff?
That's it. That's what he was in college. That's why he was always a split backfield back in college. It was because he's a tough runner, don't get me wrong, but in short yardage, he was never ever good in short yardage. That was a thing for multiple years. That's why they went out and got Judkins. And I think too, it's that he's a great in his kind of high number 2 role, but he needs another back there. That's why Stevenson just continues to get touches, and just what they want to do. And so if you watch the game against the Browns, they did a really nice job of adjusting their game plan. They went really heavy inside to start, really kind of control the game. Hey, we're not just going to chuck it on you guys. And then in the second half, they did a bunch of outside hitters. They did they did some pony personnel too, with both of the backs back out there, Henderson and Stevenson, and where they're just pitching it to Henderson, getting him on the move, getting him outside, letting him use his speed. And it was really, really nice. But again, those guys are going to be almost like Pollard with the Cowboys when Tony Pollard was there. That's kind of his usage right now, where you got to show me more. And until you show me more, we're just going to trust the bigger back to do the bigger back thing. So Henderson's a hard conversation, because I really like him as a football player, but I understand the limitations of his thing, of his role and what he can and can't do of his play style. So it's one of those things that's for years, I start trusting college coaches to go, they do this for a reason. And it's not just, it goes into the NFL. It just comes on. Like, once in a while that does happen. It does happen. But, when you're certain play styles, I'm like, he's fast. He's a speed back for a reason. So, I always just think there's a limited upside with him, because I think coaches are going to think that he always needs someone to spell him or be a 1A or 1B to his, his speed stuff.
And his calling card was he was supposed to be so good in pass protection. So it's like, okay, he's going to take all the passing down work from Ramondre Stevenson. And he has made some big mistakes as a pass protector, as a rookie. And that has also sort of changed the equation for Travian Henderson.
Correct.
That being said, I think the fact that they started to show that, because to me, it's like, okay, well, the guy's good on outside runs, run some like crack toss, pitch it to him, stuff like that. Like, start throwing that in there. And I 100% trust Josh McDaniels to put that into the run game. It's just that could be one of those situations, Nate, where like over the second half of the season, we start to see that more added. And then the sentiment is, what the hell? Like, what you should have played Travian Henderson all along. It's like, well, no, they had to figure out this is what he does well, and they got to start building those in and everything like that. And like, the most important job for the offensive coordinator is not to get the second round rookie running back rolling. Their priority right now is, wow, Drake May's really good. Let's keep leaning into that. So
let's keep him upright.
It is exactly. How do we figure out how to get it? Yeah. What do we do with all that? So it sounds like they're sniffing around potentially for a running back at the trade deadline. I don't know what like level of that is, because also Stevenson is hurt right now too. So you're right that I think they can get the best out of Henderson, but there always will probably have to be a banger back here. So that might be something that they look for. But I think that's really good stuff on Travian Henderson. And I think kind of, if anything, level sets the expectations while also leaving the light on potentially that we could see more diverse usage for him later on, and he might be able to recapture some value. So of the other guys on this list here, though, he's the biggest name. These are kind of the like I said, stash candidates, second half hopium. In the like limited looks that we've seen of these guys, who sort of stands out to you?
Well, just because of role and or opportunity that might come is Brashard Smith, because the Chiefs have found ways to get him the ball, and now you got Isaiah Pacheco nursing an injury, and it's like, Kareem Hunt's Kareem Hunt. So it's one of those where the Chiefs offense is rolling right now, and it's a everybody eats types of offense right now. So as far as just even these kind of limited touches, if you even looked at the last game, it was like everybody had 2 touches, 2 touches, 2 touches. So it's kind of one of those where the opportunity might present itself. But Kyle Monangai, and that for the Bears, is they're trying to get him going, and the Bears run game has gotten going since for probably about a month and a half. I looked since week 3. I know you looked at similar stats. I can't remember when your cutoff was. I think it was post bye for them. But I went since week 3 for the Bears. They've had like a top 10 offense since week 3. But run game wise, they're 3rd in rushing success rate, 8th in EPA per run, 9th in yards per play, 7th in net yards per attempt passing. But also, if you look at the Bears' future schedule, they go against the Bengals this week, who are 31st in rushing DVOA. Giants the week after that, 32nd in rushing DVOA. Vikings, 15th, but 26th in rushing success rate allowed. Steelers, 24th in rushing DVOA. Eagles, 25th in rushing DVOA. And then they get the Packers, who are top 10. But it's, to me, DeAndre Swift has been fine in his role, but he is still freaking frustrating. And they are giving Monangai juicy touches and entire stretches of drives now. They're trying to get him going, and he's succeeded. He has the same success rate right now as J.K. Dobbins, a little bit better than Jahmyr Gibbs, a little bit better than Breece Hall, and a little bit better than Cam Scatterbo. He's 21st in rushing success rate for guys that have 40 or more runs. So he's someone I literally have stashed in every league possible. Dynasty, redraft, everything. But it's just one of these. DeAndre Swift has stayed healthy, and I'm not rooting against him, but I don't think it'll ever get more than 50-50 because Swift has done better. It's just that they are trying to go like, hey, Monangai, go. Like, come on, buddy. And he's succeeding right now. So he's the guy I'm just keeping my eye on because the Bears run game's rolling and he's rolling as well.
No, I like what I've seen from him a lot. I think he should be rostered in 100% of leagues, and it's not even close to that. Like, he should be on benches, especially because he's a one injury away guy. Like, if Swift does get banged up, or if it's just over the course of the year, they like, all right, we know what Swift is. Ben Johnson definitely knows what Swift is. Like, we let's see a little more Monangai. And honestly, if you can, like the post-bye rookie bump, we talked about it. Hey, maybe it's coming for Luther Burden. Maybe it's coming for Colson Loveland. The 7th rounder is actually the guy who's gotten it because his usage and you can feel the trust they have for him. That's grown since the bye more than anything else. And I actually, it's funny enough that I think that Ben Johnson had obviously a big hand in Colson Loveland and Luther Burden being picked, but he also does strike me as the guy that would be like, yeah, draft capital doesn't matter to me. If you're doing your job and I trust you, like, you're the guy that's going to play like that 100%. There's been this weird narrative. I mean, Bears Twitter, there's all kinds of weird narratives, but there was a weird narrative that like,
what's the daily meltdown today?
Yeah, right. Seriously, today there was. I saw today. Today was people like, well, he's got to stop throwing to Roma Dunze so much. Stop throwing to Roma Dunze so much because you got to get the other guys going. Right, and they asked Ben Johnson about that. He's like, well, no, he's the number 1 in the progression and he's open, so I want him to throw to that guy. Yeah, and it's just like. That's the guy he trusts. That's what I want you to do, the right things here. And Kyle Monangai, to that point, is doing the right thing. So definitely a guy that people should have stashed. I'll just quickly mention your guy, Devin Neal, and I want you to talk about him. Basil Tootin, I feel like if you've been listening to this podcast, you should stash Basil Tootin. Explosive player, hasn't been perfect, but good ecosystem. And Travis Etienne's one of these guys that's worn down over the course of years. If you look at like his yards per carry by month, it consistently tends to go down. So Tootin, definitely stash him. Good player, good rushing ecosystem. We've said enough. With Devin Neal, I love that he got a big boost in playing time right after Kendre Miller got hurt. And Alvin Kamara has been mid this year as a runner at best and is a guy that's also now dealing with an injury. So talk about your guy, Devin Neal, and why people should be interested in him.
One of the strangest how I felt about him and where he went in the draft. This was the guy I wouldn't even say I was way off. I'm just still confused because what he's shown so far as a pro is just exactly what he's shown in college. He's reliable, true 3-down back where he can take every kind of touch in between the tackles, and he's great in protection. Even against the Bears, before he kind of had extended playing time, he picked up a blitz that was great. And Spencer Rattler, before he got benched, was able to kind of get off a throw. I've just really liked him. I think he's really great in a physical run scheme. I wanted the Bears to draft him, actually, of all teams. Actually, just speaking about Monungai, I thought he would have been Neal. I actually wanted the Chiefs to draft Devin Neal because I thought he'd been perfect for their run scheme. But just a nice, he's kind of got a little bit of Devin Singletary slow-mo to him, but I actually think he's quicker and faster and bigger than that. I would actually say like David Montgomery is the kind of play style of him, but Montgomery is the more juiced up version of it. But just that kind of play style where it's a nice shifty back, not the fastest back in the world. I know David Montgomery would get mad about that, but just great protection, just reliable, good hands, kind of a do everything back. And like you said, Kamara, who to me is a reliable back and has done so well in his career, has been disappointing, I would say to me. I think he's been outright poor in protection this year. And so Neal's already deserved those touches because I think he's been better in protection as a 7th round rookie. But yeah, I've been bullish on him. He's another guy I've stashed in so many leagues, and I just kind of let him fall to me in dynasty leagues. And I was just like, whatever. Like, I'm going to just trust my eval here. Like, to me, he seemed like a coach's favorite. I get it. He's like a 4-6 guy, but he can hit singles. Like, he's just a guy that gets on base. And I don't know. He's a guy that I think will stick in this league. I still remain bullish on him because nothing I've seen from the NFL, it's like, oh man, he looks slow. It's like, oh no, he looks fine. Like, his NFL speed is fine.
Yeah, he's a perfect example of a guy that once you get through your bye week gauntlet, just stick him on the end of your bench and see what happens. You probably have to be a pretty deeper league, but certainly name to keep on waiver wire speed dial if he really starts popping or Kamara's injury is serious, which again, he's dealing with an injury right now. So just again, a name to keep in mind, and Nate's really excited about him. I like that take a lot. All right, we are going to take our first quick break after going through all the running backs. When we come back, we'll talk through wide receivers right after this. All right, we are back. It's time to talk rookie wide receivers. This one I actually wrote a full piece on. So remember, folks, we're reading again in 2025. So we are not going to touch on every name here, but I wrote a blurb on all of these guys. So
we're
watch
listening
the
to
show.
Jurassic
Listen.
Park audiobooks.
No. Yeah. You guys are reading. I didn't say I was reading. No. I read before bed, but I listen to fun books while I'm walking. Nate, Tice. I'm on Maze Runner right now. I'm about to be done with Maze Runner, the trilogy. So I'm gonna start a book club, but only for audiobooks.
Hey, it counts.
What a loser.
I guess it counts.
Hey, I don't got time to read books. I got time to listen to books when I'm on the morning walk. But you people finish the show and then go read this piece on the website because there's takes on all of these rookie wide receivers. But these are the 4 buckets. Full-time players all season. These are guys that have run a route on over 80% of the dropbacks in every game this year. There are players with major roles. These are receivers that have route participation between 50% but below 80%. Then there's playing time trending up. Receivers who weren't playing big roles early but have seen their route participation increase the last 3 weeks. And then just guys worth keeping an eye on. They haven't really had a tangible bump in playing time, but worth just kind of keeping on the back of your radar. Let's start with full-time player all season. 3 guys in this bucket. We have Tedero McMillan at 94% route participation. We have Emeka Egbuka at 87%. And then we have, of course, just like everybody expected, Alec Iomanner, day 3 draft pick, also at 87%. Iomanner, we'll save him when we get to the Chim DK thing. I want to talk about the first 2 guys here. And I think the main question we need to know, Nate, based on both your prospect evaluation and what you have seen so far, who would you rather bet on long-term between T-Mac and Egbuka, between these 2 guys?
Picking between my children. I would go T-Mac still. I would stand by that just because I think he's a true blue X. And just because I think he's the true alpha of a passing game, even if I'm trying to figure out what the Panthers passing game is. But I do think like just his skill set, and he's just been everything as advertised, just a first down monster. Still has some concentration drops. I'll say is my biggest disappointment with him so far, where he's looking to get yak. But I also think that that's some of his appeal is that he actually has been creating explosive plays, even though he's not the fastest guy. But it's not that I hate Egbuka. It's just that Ibuka's awesome too. It's just the Bucks are another offense that has a lot of mouths to feed that we haven't. Who knows what happens with Evans long term? But with Godwin and everything, actually, now that I'm even talking it out loud, it's like, who knows actually what's going on with the mouths? So it's kind of a Ibuka too, though, has been I really, really liked him. And again, this is why I struggle to talk about him. Another Ohio State guy is I really, really liked him. Really, really liked him. Thought he should have been a top 22 pick, top 20 pick. He was a top 20 player to me, top 18, I think. He's been better than that. And he's been a guy that can be more than maybe I envisioned in the NFL because I think he has more downfield ability than maybe I gave credit for, where I thought he would be almost like Godwin, a first and second, or I'm sorry, short and intermediate monster, can work inside and out. No, he's scheme proof to me. So that's kind of hard. Like it's a higher floor, I guess, with Ibuka, but that's not to say McMillan's floor is low at all. So it's kind of like what you prefer, because I think both are like amazing. And if you can hear me just even talking this out, I would just still stand by McMillan because it's a true X to me. That is just like, true ball winner, can do the hardest things, while Ibuka maybe just no matter what is going to be productive because it's just, just watch him this year. Everything they've asked him to do, he's excelled at, as long as he's been healthy.
All right,
long-winded way to say is, I don't know.
It's close. Yeah. It's close and it's a moving target. So, and I agree with you. It is close. I had these guys, like when I rank receivers, like neither one of these guys were true tier 1 prospects, but they were both what I would call like a tier 2 receiver prospect, which is you can take them in the first round of any draft and they can grow into being immediate starters and eventually grow into number 1 receivers. And I think that's what both of these guys have looked like to start their NFL careers. And to me, so again, they were same tier. And I just think Ibuka's been better in the NFL so far. Not by a like massive amount or anything as in an isolated player standpoint, but I think he's been better in the NFL so far. So I would just, if I like throwing the question back to myself, I would say I'd bet on Ibuka long-term over McMillan, but it's very close. I like both these guys. It's not either or the other. I think with McMillan, he has definitely been everything I'd expected to be from a man coverage standpoint. And he's been so good on those breaking routes, yards after catch, like you said, picking up first downs. My prospect comparison to him, which people hated at the time, it was like, I think he could be something of like a Cortland Sutton, Michael Pittman type player. No one liked that. It's like, well, those guys are some of the most productive receivers in the NFL. So maybe shut up, commenters. Not the commenters watching this show, other commenters. We love you guys who are watching the show.
Smartest ones and the smartest ones.
These are the smart ones, but the other, the knuckleheads elsewhere, those guys, forget them. But you guys are smart. But yeah, so for McMillan, I thought that was kind of the type of player he could be, and I still think he could grow into being that type of player. With Ibuka, though, I actually kind of think your point about McMillan being such a pure X from a fantasy standpoint might actually work against him in some ways, because he can get caught in that kind of he'll always be on the field, that's great, but he'll always draw those like
flow of the
high degree of difficult, high degree of difficulty targets. Whereas with Ibuka, number one, he's played some X receiver this year. It's been the condensed X, the whole deal, but he's played some X receiver this year. I think he'd be better with Mike Evans there and moving around, but still, he's been really productive and good with everything you'd want from an X receiver. And also, I know he can move around and be kind of that over-the-middle zone beater from the slot type that's dominating the NFL from a production standpoint right now. So from an archetype perspective, I think I go to Ibuka, and I just think the NFL film, I thought they were same tier prospect film-wise, and then I think NFL tier, Igbuka's has been slightly better. So it's close. We like both these guys. If you got them on your dynasty rosters, a shout out to you guys. If you got them on your redraft rosters, I think McMillan could take off rest of the season. Igbuka's already been great. I think either way it's good, but I would just slight lean to Ibuka there.
Their underlying stats are so similar too. Like as far as like target share, they're like I just looked at players with receivers with 100 more routes on True Media. There's 111 guys. And its target share is 22nd for Ibuka, 24th for T-Mac. First downs per route run, which is I think that's where the thing is that Ibuka's downfield ability, where he has those like smash games, I guess you could put them, just unbelievable blow up games. And that's what's been so cool so far. But that's the thing is McMillan has like, they're comparable in explosives per route run. Like Mbuka's 11th and T-Mac's 13th, 5.7, 5.5%. So it's like, it's just some of the usage stuff too. And that's why I just kind of stay high on T-Mac, where I just think he's going to be that, no matter what, you can get that steady diet. Even like you're saying, it's just that he might be just more true X. I don't know. I'm talking myself in circles because I like both of them. And that's why I hate having to decide between both of them because I'm just like, I like them both. This is what happened with Warren and Loveland. in the pre-draft stuff. It's like, I like them both, but I have to pick one.
Got to ask the hard questions here, the hard-hitting journalism of the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast. Okay, let's get to the next bucket of players. These are the major role guys. Like I said, route participation's been between 50% and below 80% all year. This is Travis Hunter at 77%, Matthew Golden 73%. All right, buckle up. We're about to get to some weird names here. Dante Thornton 64%, Arian Smith 63%, Isaiah Bond 59%, and our guy Torrey Horton at 56%. So let's just first talk Travis Hunter. He's a big talking point right now. We don't have to do too much on him because Ray and I just broke him down yesterday on the show and kind of what we're expecting coming out of the bye. But just what have you seen from Hunter so far this year, and like what are you hoping to see more or less of going forward?
More real receiver stuff is what I'm hoping to see, and I think that's what they've been trying to steadily get him across the finish line with that. And when I say that, is so far his kind of route samples or just route tree has been kind of limited because I think they're just getting him comfortable playing offense full time. And I think now we saw the game with a way negative game script. You can see more downfield stuff. He has rare ball skills. He's unbelievable with the ball in his hands. So how they kind of were like, all right, we'll get him on choice routes and underneath stuff. Just kind of get him going, like get him in space, get him juking guys. And every time he touches the ball, he breaks like 3 tackles. So it's like, okay, now we get him maybe get more of the downfield where he's dunking on guys. You've seen it against the 49ers down the pipe. He had a great one. The end of the game against the Rams, you saw some stuff down the field. So, but I think they're not I think they see the exact same thing, their coaching staff, but it's just been more like mentally he's been overloaded, but now I think it's starting to come along. It's just that this is what I envisioned out of him. It was more of a longer term thing, but the juice is worth the squeeze with him. That's why I think they're just like, the coaches are probably just like, we'll get there, because once we get there, just watch out, because he's just so special at some of the things that just truly special athletic traits. And so I think that's, again, why they're just guiding him along. So I do think he gets that post-bye bump. I think they're trying to get him more true receiver sets, more true things that get him more true touches, true receiver stuff. So again, staying bullish on him. It's just, this is kind of the path I kind of envisioned for him this year, at least. Do you want me to talk about other guys? Maybe move off of that.
Well, just real quick, I would just add that, I totally agree with what Nate said. And like, I stand by everything I said pre-draft, that like, if he hits his ceiling, he is a tier above even Igbuka and McMillan. Like, if he hits that ceiling, to me, that's how I view him. And I think that there's a chance that happens. Maybe more so year 2, year 3, but I definitely think that there's a chance in the rest of the season he becomes the guy in that passing game, because they really, really need him to. And again, Matthew Golden, we've talked so much about Matthew Golden. I don't even want to address that part of it. It's been a lot of that Matthew Golden talk this week. So for these other guys,
Buy Romeo Dobbs.
Dobbs has been playing well. He's been playing well,
dude. Sure. I'm telling you, I just watched I made a whole play, which I should be watching college players, but I made a playlist for him today on Next Gen. And I was just watching through all of them. I'm like, God, he's becoming a real boy. I can't. I know I can't stop talking about him because I've really been impressed by him. But sorry.
Well, I did a whole YouTube video about it last week for my channel about him and Alec Pierce, becoming the real boys, graduating out of Sacrificial X. And that's a reminder, by the way, as we talk through all these rookies, guys can get better. Guys get better. It's not just who you are as a rookie, who you are as a second-year player. So, again, just keep that in mind. We're talking about these guys. Now, that being said, I want to say Torrey Horton's a different guy because we like Torrey Horton, but he's just got he's just not really going to be a consistent fantasy factor this year because of how they play offense with their 31st and 11 personnel. And he has I don't think he's going to usurp Cooper Kupp. Not that Cooper Kupp has been productive outside of one game, but he brings so much from a blocking standpoint. These other 3 guys, Nate, is there anything to see with Thornton, Smith, or Bond? Because Arian Smith, I almost think was I truly think Arian Smith was drafted. I'll just tell you what I think. I think Arian Smith was drafted just to do the full speed motion stuff. That's it. That's all I've seen him do all year. He has been on the field a ton, over 180 routes. He is sitting on 0.25 yards per route. He is never targeted. They never throw him the football, but he's always opening things up he's basically Tutu Atwell. They drafted him to be Tutu Atwell is my theory.
He's dead last of the players with 100 or more routes, 0.25 yards. He's so
he's
much
been
red.
throwing the ball 10
times
on 189 routes. So and then for Thornton, he's been actually trending down. Yeah, you're welcome. This has been on my radar ever since I wrote this piece. So.
Because I've never been super high on him, so I'm not totally shocked. Because he was truly just a track athlete like that, even out of Georgia, and like that's kind of even as a prospect, I was like, well, he doesn't really do receiver stuff. So, but that's the thing is usually when these track athletes are like low in all this time stuff, yards per all that, but at least they get some explosives. But it's like he doesn't even have that 0.5%, 108th out of 111 players, which is, yeah. So what would you say you do here? Kind of thing.
Oh, no, I'm telling you what he does. What he does is Garrett Wilson's lined up as the outside on-ball receiver. Arian Smith motions out then at the snap to then be the outside off the line scrimmage player, gets Garrett Wilson a slot, just quick in breaker, get him the ball. That is truly what they drafted him to do. Based on watching so far this season, that's all he does. And so I don't know what to do with that. Man. From a fantasy standpoint, nothing. That's what you do with it. Thornton, we'll get back to him when we talk Jack Besh in a little bit. We've talked about it before. They've actually started ticking his playing time down. And Bond has just been terrible. Like the whole Cleveland
I don't think he's good at
terrible.
All. Okay, good.
I'm
kind of glad you're feeling the same way because I'm not very high on any of those three. Like Horton, I like, but it's like his role is just his role. But it's like I'm kind of glad you feel the same way because I was like, oh man, maybe I have nothing nice to say.
Horton is like Horton is like a year 2, year 3 thing. Like Dynasty, I'm really glad I have him. I know you've got him on Dynasty rosters too, but redraft, like he's not a thing. For Bond, I just want to make this note real quick. Cleveland is the only team that has their wide receiver group as a whole averaging less than 100 yards per game, and they're like 79. So it's a distant last, which tells you all you need to know, I think, about what's going on there.
That means Jerry let's get to must be hurt, right?
Nope. Let's get to the next group here because this actually has a bunch of interesting names. These are the guys who are playing time trending up. They weren't full-time players to start, but their route participation has increased the last 3 weeks. Tez Johnson, 82% of the routes since week 6. Jack Besh, 80% since week 6. This is all since week 6, so I can stop saying that. Chimere DK, 76%. Jaden Higgins, 70%. Pat Bryant, 52%. Jalen Knoll, 47%. Like, to me, Nate, everybody here, Chimere DK, 76%. Did I say that? Anyways, these guys here, they're the ones that I think they're much more interesting than all the non-Hunter Golden, the other guys that we talked about there. So when I throw you this group, who do you like?
Oh, there's a lot I like. I would say maybe because you probably highlighted him already, but DK would be the one that's the most pleasant surprise, I would say, as he has shown more real receiver things to me than maybe just what I envisioned him as. I would say, and Pat Bryant, I have to mention again. I know I feel like you and I've already talked about him 4 times in the last 2 weeks. But he's the guy. Like,
I think you and I talk about Pat Bryant once a week, whether on or offline.
He's got a good streak going right now. I know, he's worthy of talking about. You can tell they like him. They're trying to do real things with him. They're trying to get him design touches. So they're saying, hey, thank you for blocking your ass off. Here's a touchdown for it. And that is, again, those are the little things I look for. It's like, okay, so they're giving you valuable touches. And Sean Payton's very cognizant of who he gives those red zone touches to. So the fact they're giving it to a rookie, Troy Franklin has had some blow up games, but it's more like Pat Bryant. They've been trying to get plays for. So that's a guy I just keep kind of redraft. I have no idea how to figure him. Dynasty, I like him kind of as like a nice little sneaky guy to maybe add. I know Troy Franklin is getting those headlines and stuff, but he's the guy I'm like just really keep my eye on. And then the Texans duo, but they're just, I rewatched that game. It was so much better, but it was again going against a 49ers defense that can't cover anything right now, especially over the middle of the field. And also the vets are coming back from injury. So it's very much what is going to happen? Nico Collins and Christian Kirk are both coming back from injury. So I don't know how it's going to break. Of course, Nico Collins is the number 1 dude there, but how the rest of these guys rolls, it's like anybody's guess. But I do think both of those guys looked good. And they're Higgins had some nice moments, even though I like Knoll a little bit better. But I thought Higgins had some really nice moments against the 49ers and other touches as well. But I like both of those guys. It's just the Texans system or Texans ecosystem is just still messy. It's still very hard there right now. Very opponent matchup driven as far as how high you can get on them.
Yeah,
look at
people know
you.
how I feel about Jalen Noel. Yeah, more Noel or else, basically. But
Right.
I do want to see more of him. I think he has to play more. Period.
He
We'll see
has
if it
to.
hames. He has to.
He's
It
just
would just be
good.
crazy
Did
if
you
he
see the
doesn't.
Did you see the
He's
rev against
good.
Upton Stout when he just freaking
Oh,
bullied him?
yeah,
So Upton Stout
yeah.
is a bully. Like Upton Stout just beats the crap out of guys. Like he's this little slot. I've been comparing him to Taz, the wrestler. He's just a slot for the 49ers. And Jalen Noel bullied him. And it should have been OPI. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
But that's an NFL rep. Like that's a one that refs will let go away because they're saying, hey, you guys are fighting. Like whatever, I'll let it go away. That was cool to me because it's like you're not a finesse slot. Like you can do the bully ball stuff. It was like play more. You're good.
Yeah.
Play more.
That's your combine wide receiver bench press champion.
Yeah.
Noel right there. That's a weight room guy. Yeah. No, I mean, I love Noel. People that listen to this show, he just needs to play more. Like stick him on the end of your bench, leave him there, and hopefully the playing time continues to grow. I will just say, fun, dumb but fun with small samples here. Jaden Higgins from the slot this year, Nate, 22 routes, 18% targets per route, 2.05 yards per route run. Jaden Higgins from the outside, 115 routes, 15% targets per route run, 0.96 yards per route. So not saying, I'm just saying. I think he still looks stiff on those on the outside routes against man coverage. Like I think the separation is very hit or miss, but he has his uses. And I think a 3 receiver set of Nico at X and kind of alternating him and Higgins so that you can get Nico some free releases and stuff. And like Higgins is your primary flanker and Noel is your slot and keep all these guys rotating. I can see it. I just don't know if Nick Caley sees it. And I don't know if this Texans offense can pull it off based on what we've seen so far.
Right.
So other guys
in the ideal circumstances, I love it. But what they're dealing with right now,
these ideal?
Like, no, it's not. That's like the Woody Marks conversation. It's like, it's just not great. Like, it's just kind of like, it is what it is right now.
And yeah, I echo a lot of what you said about Pat Bryant too, where like they're getting him going on these out routes against zone coverage, which they desperately need somebody to do that. Inbreakers, outbreakers in the intermediate area. And like you see them trying to do it, and he hit a couple plays last week against the Cowboys, but just need to see more of it. Tez Johnson, another guy, by the way, just so here we go again. Baker Mayfield's got his out route guy. Like him and Tez have the chemistry is a little hit or miss, but they're having Tez run a lot of these speed outs, deep outs from the slot or outside or off the line of scrimmage as the outside player, and like they're connecting a little bit. So Tez is a guy that as long as he's playing like 80% of the routes as he is right now, he is a fantasy flex consideration. We'll just see what the receiver room looks like coming out of the bye if Godwin's going to play. But I don't know what level of hit they've got here, but they've got some level of hit with the 7th rounder.
Yeah, it's more of circumstances right now with those injuries and everything. But their run game's not great right now, so they're chucking it. So it's like he's going to get opportunities to get it. And Ibuka's been nursing the injury as well. So it's just, he's made the most of his opportunities. And you mentioned some of the chemistry stuff. And that's the thing is Baker can be sometimes a half second off and he makes up for it with his arm. And then when you get with a guy with Tez Johnson, who can be a little loose with his route running, could be a little freestyle and going on with his route running. So it's like, that's not the perfect quarterback kind of receiver as far as timing. But I do think that he's been, I wouldn't say a pleasant surprise because he was a baller in college. It's been more just like, oh, okay, the testing maybe wasn't indicative of kind of what you actually are. I'm always going to fade those type of guys. Like, I wasn't saying he should be a 7th rounder. I thought it was more like a 4th, 5th.
Same.
Yeah. But it's been nice that he's been kind of like, at the very least, deserves a role in an offense that has had real good moments right now, or this season, I should say.
100%. And, just quickly, I'll just say on Jack Besh, I'd like to see more of Besh, and like kind of a rough game against the Chiefs, but everybody had a rough game in that game. So but the 2 before that, I thought he
5 minutes really, it took you to watch that whole game.
yeah, for real. Yeah, that I'm just like throw that film away. But he's clearly better than Thornton, and like him and Tucker, I think can make a nice little duo there. So I'd like to see more of Besh. Guys worth keeping an eye on here. Again, let's not talk about all these guys just real quick. If there's any one you want to highlight here between Jalen Lane, Trey Harris, Isaac Tesla, Luther Burden, Kyle Williams, all these guys, and like Lane has played the most because of injuries. The other guys have been hit or miss. Harris, his route participation's boosted because he started a game for QJ, but he's still been playing. Anyone here you think that in the brief glimpses you've gotten, it's like, I think this guy deserves more playing time?
Isaac Tesla. He's so he's so cool. He's still a little bit raw. I get that, but I just also think their offense, like they already have plenty of dogs on that offense. That it's just like it's perfect for him. It's perfect how he should be introduced into the NFL. But Dynasty, I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to because he does some cool stuff, and I think there's something to it. For this season, the Bears they're trying to get Burden going. They're giving him a lot of design touches. And that's another young guy that they're trying to build trust with. But again, it might be maybe too late to matter this season and more of a year 2, year 3 thing, but they're trying. Kyle Williams, I'm staying high on just because, but I just think right now Booty is playing so well that they haven't had a need for Kyle Williams. That's kind of been more of the thing. They're going a lot of 2 tight end looks anyway, so it's going to be Diggs and Booty. And then Pop Douglas is a solid slot player. I don't really like him for May's game, but he's fine. But I do like
his name.
So that
and Matt Collins.
Say his name. And Matt Collins is the dirty work guy, and they try to reward him. So there's just been no need for Kyle Williams, which is a good thing for the Patriots, but it's also like for a guy that has a lot of Kyle Williams shares, I'm like, oh God, it's gonna be a year 2 thing.
Yeah.
So those guys, but all these guys have actually had moments. Even Jalen Lane, like his stats aren't great. I get that. He's actually had some okay moments when I've watched the Commanders offense when it's not, I don't think he's great or anything, but he hasn't been just a total, trash out there to me anyways. And I know Trey Harris has kind of shown a little bit more. We've talked about him a bunch. So I think this whole group is worthy of keeping an eye on. But it's just more the middle pack. I would be a little bit bullish on as opposed to Lane and maybe Williams for this year.
Yeah. The Patriots just don't need any disruption in their receiver room right now, which is why people are really trying to get them. I just had a whole James Coe and I just got in a big fight about this on our show where I was like, they don't need. He's trying to get him to trade for AJ Brown. I was like, I mean, yeah, they don't really need him though. Don't disrupt don't disrupt a good thing right now. And that's kind of the same for Kyle Williams, where he might be one of these guys that does nothing as a rookie, but year 2, year 3, he's really starts cooking. And I'm still open to that. And yeah, for Burden, all of his per route stuff is juiced because he's being used in only design touches way. So don't take that and be like, oh my God, he's actually sneaky the Bears' best receiver. I don't know. Maybe he is long term, but they're clearly not ready with him yet. But I think he's shown a little bit tighter details and fundamentals when he's on the field than I thought. But there's also times where he gets on the field and he's kind of doing the
Oh yeah,
he's not just
or
he's not
going the wrong way on a screen designed for him. That happened at one point against the Ravens or 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, we still got some time with you.
Real quick before we toss the break here, I just want to acknowledge the tight ends. There's 3 guys you can legit start in fantasy right now: Tyler Warren, Aronde Gatson, Harold Fannin. We don't need too much on those guys because we kind of know who they are. They're players you should be playing every single week. Period. There are other notable names here / stashes: Mason Taylor, Colson Loveland, Elijah Arroyo, Gunnar Helm, Mitchell Evans, and Terrence Ferguson. Anyone here? I mean, obviously there's Colson Loveland. And maybe it's just on that. Why is Colson Loveland in this list and not the first list right now?
The Roman Dunze is part of that answer. Their offense is a lot of play action, so the tight ends might not get out on routes. And when they design plays, it's like, okay, we got Dunze. Oh, we also got DJ Moore. And we actually got Luther Burden. He's actually pretty good too. So he's kind of like a auxiliary piece right now in this offense. I'm still bullish on him long term because what he's shown as a blocker and as a receiver, he's a great athlete. But it's very again, there's something to it when the first drive of every game they design a play for him. And again, this is their hand tab guy. It's just it's tight end. It's a long-term thing for him. But this year I've been always, even with Komet out, I've been like, I don't know. It's just their offense right now is more to it's play action and the receivers running the digs. It's not so much tight ends getting out to do it because they just haven't, it's a pretty good offense right now. Actually, I know it's weird to say that about the Bears, but it actually is. But it's more of a long-term thing for him. But the flashes have been good. They're just trying to do real football stuff with him as opposed to design another one to him. They just have other good players right now. And dude's rocks. I don't know why people are surprised. I know you and I aren't, but Tuesday's a dude. He's been he's really, really good. So that's going to take a lot of touches for an offense that wants to stay run heavy.
Bears fans are on him because he drops or has one contested catch loss a game. And I'm like, look at the best receivers in the league. They all have one bad or one. That's what happens when you get a lot of targets. Yeah. That's what happens when you get a lot of targets. You're going to drop one every now and again. Yep. let's talk about all of the other plays where he's doing everything else right. Like, give me a break.
Yes.
Malik Neighbors said it perfectly last year. You know, the guy that you could never say was in the same breath as Roma Dunze. Malik Neighbors last year even said, yeah, I drop like one a game. Just keep throwing me the football. Who cares? Like that paraphrase, like literally said that, which is that's
home run hitter,
that's what wide receiver
sometimes.
ones do. Exactly. And there is definitely, I love your point about Colson. I love your point about Colson Loveland too, where like, yeah, the scripted plays where the Bears have been the best. It's like Roma Dunze first read, and then there's one Colson Loveland play in there. So I still think that's good. That's a good sign for Colson Loveland, who's just kind of doing normal rookie tight end stuff. So it's okay. I think long term he'll be fine. All right, that was a packed section. We got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll preview Thursday Night Football. We'll get into that right after this. All right, we're back. We've got Thursday Night Football to get into here. Ravens at Dolphins. The Ravens are 7.5 point favorites. 50.5 over under here. Pretty spicy. Lamar, for real, back this time it's real. He's back. Nate.
Apparently.
Allegedly is finally coming back here. It feels like these two teams play a lot. Like every single year, I feel like we get a Ravens-Dolphins game. But for this one, with Lamar coming back, where does your attention go first in this game?
What are the Dolphins more than anything, and what are the Ravens really? Because the Dolphins also just like skunked the Falcons basically, even though the Dolphins have like one of the worst defenses in football. But then at the same time, they also have nice pieces that a lot of teams should trade for. Just the weirdest team I've watched in a long time, which I think anybody watching the NFL this year has realized. But even with the Ravens, it's really the run game has been so interesting to me because I don't know what to make of it. I watch it; it's just not very. It's not just efficient, and it's just kind of a weird thing. And I'm watching Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry hasn't the cliff hasn't totally come, of course, but it kind of feels off. Like he just feels off with the run scheme right now. Like he's not trusting it. He's missing some holes. He's running into the back of his guys. Not saying the O-line blocking has been amazing, but it has just been very telling about this Ravens offense, where it's been a lot more. They have to rely on explosives, which can crap out on you at any time. I think the analogy I've used in the past, it's like an offense in basketball that's all 3-pointers. It's like once in a while, it just doesn't hit, and you go, 2 for 34 from 3, and it just feels like a crappy game. Why I'm saying all that is like, all right, now Lamar's back. Have they learned some things? What are the new, now we got Patrick Ricard back. The Ravens are getting healthy, and I know a fullback it's huge for the Ravens offense because he's like the keystone player for a lot of things they do. But why I'll get into what the props I like for a reason, but there's just a lot of questions I need answered from this Ravens team because I don't think the defense is that good. They had the Bears actually moved the ball on them, but I really was like, this offense should be more efficient than what it was, even when Lamar was healthy. And I want to see, does that get right against the Dolphins defense that I think is very, very a defense you could just punch in the face.
I do think the Ravens defense is not going to be like the worst unit in the league, like it was statistically after what they showed, following the bye. This is why when I had Kyle Hamilton as one of the top 5 defender when we did the top 10 in Football 301 on the offseason when we did the top 10 rankings while you're on paternity leave, because he's just kind of there. All right, it's not really working. Like, break glass, change his role. Last year, they're like, let's kick him to the deep safety. This year, like, well, we can't really defend the run. Let's bring him into the box. Like, that's why I love this guy. He's just like, all right,
yes,
just put this Band-Aid on the problem. Like
that's my talking point on NFL Network tomorrow night is talking about him moving around. It was like, so I'm glad you brought that up. I was like, did you look at my notes for this? Because that's literally going to be one of my 2 talking points tomorrow is how they moved Kyle Hamilton closer to the line of scrimmage. Yep. And
that will be interesting for this game because the Dolphins' run game is what it is, and Jalen Waddle is their one vertical pass game player. So I wonder if they do then actually they kick Hamilton back more because they don't really feel the need to bring extra bodies into the run game, and it'll be interesting. But I do think their defense, Zach Orr might be one of those guys who, like, what we do in the offseason, we need to get that right and tight as opposed to what we do in the second half, because this is exactly how it went last year for them. Started slow, finished fast. But so I just want to caution people against, like, when they're looking at the strength of schedule matrices and stuff like that, that this Ravens defense might be a little bit better than maybe people have given it credit for so far this year. And that informs the run game too, Nate, because they got to be in those game scripts for Derrick Henry. Like, regardless of what we talk about with Quinshon Judkins at the top, he's the supercharged, Hall of Fame version of that. He's still game script sensitive because of his skill set. So that's important just overall with that. You have anything on the Dolphins, like offense, just or are they just, after what we saw last week, such an explosion, it was just like out of nowhere. Like, what's the deal with that?
Well, real quick too, is they're trying to get Keaton Mitchell going a little bit. The Ravens are, but the Dolphins though is they still have some cool designs, man. That's why Mike McDaniel. Oh my God, Mike McDaniel. If he does get fired after this year, he's got to be one of the highest paid offense coordinators in history. Because like they do still do some cool run game designs. It's just that the offensive line isn't great. It's young. I still kind of like the younger guys, but it's just one of the younger players, I should say. That sounds weird. But it's also just one of these things where I'm watching them and it's just like, it's very hit or miss. It has to rely on explosives. So that's just, your guess is as good as mine if this is the week that it goes off, because I don't trust the passing game at all. I don't trust Tua at all. The hits that they try to play, the defense has just clamped down on them. So that's just been, this year. So it's more run game, explosive play dependent.
Definitely interested to see what Jalen Waddle can do in this game. He's been great, but Nate Wiggins, faster corner. We'll see if he can keep up with him in this one. Nate Wiggins, I think, has played pretty well this year. All right, give us some of your props before we get out of here.
I'm very high on Isaiah Likely this game. Talk about just kind of the Ravens kind of getting their guys back. The Dolphins have been really bad against tight end targets this year, and particularly were tight alignments. So like true tight end alignments, not like a tight end in the slot. Against those targets, they have allowed 29 of 31 to be completed. The tight alignments for 349 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Isaiah Likely last week aligned tight 70% of the time, and it's gone up every single week. This is all from Next Gen Stats. So I have him kind of like whatever you call ladders, whatever, but 50 or more receiving yards for Isaiah Likely at plus 400, over 2.5 receptions for Isaiah Likely plus 110. And then Lamar Jackson over 37.5 longest pass completed minus 110, because I just think, the Dolphins DBs are still the Dolphins DBs. And I think that it's because it's been so explosive play dependent, this Ravens offense, that's what I don't think it's going to stop. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, whoever it is, I'm not sure, but I think a big one's going to get completed. And then just one Dolphins wager. The guy's the hub of their offense. That's Devon Achane. 100 or more rushing and receiving combined yards. It's even money. I think it's plus 100 right now. So that's another one too. He's still been good. Can be hit or miss, but I also think receiving wise, he can get going against those Ravens linebackers. So I think that's something to watch as well.
These are really good, especially that HN one, because I think Roquan Smith played really well last week.
He was inspired.
Maybe a little revenge game. Game there for
oh my Smith. God, I haven't seen him move that fast in years.
Seriously, I thought about it as I was watching it live. I was like, oh my God, Roquan's playing better than he has in at least the last 12 months, dating back to the beginning of last year. I'm like, revenge game. It at least crossed my mind, but hopefully he's turning a corner. But I still think Achane can get rolling in this matchup. So, all right, those are our Thursday Night Football props, our notes that you guys can take in to make your start-sit decisions. Nate, appreciate you, buddy. We say goodbye to you. This is a hell of a rookie breakdown. I know you're working on a big board right now, so people can find out. Remember, we're reading again in 2025, so when Nate comes out with his big board, you get informed on the rookies for next year, so make sure you check that out. All right, we are going to go to our last quick break. When we come back, Joel Smith joins the show for Buzz is Building. We'll get into that right after this. All right. We're back, and welcome to the show, Joel Smith. Joel, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing? Happy to be here.
Yes, that's right. It's time for this week's edition of Buzz is Building with Joel. Every Wednesday, he joins us for the last block of the show to provide 5 players with buzz that you need to keep an eye on heading into every single week. Today, we've got Week 9 edition. Week 9, man, time is flying here. And we're going to continue the Thursday Night Football theme going here with your first Buzz is Building kind of duo with this one.
It's going to be the Ravens for right now. The big news, Lamar Jackson coming back, full participant. So we are getting him back. And the efficiency comes back with him. Derrick Henry, this isn't a new thing. It's always been this way with Lamar, no matter who the running back is. Looking back to last year, But this year so far, his yards before contact, that's the big one. His yards per carry in general skyrocket when Lamar's in the lineup. The main reason that wasn't really good with Lamar was because of the volume being so low. So you see these last games where Lamar hasn't been out there, it's shot up from 12 attempts per game to 20 carries per game. That's the best in the NFL. It's 27th to first in the NFL. And there is a little bit of worry there in terms of that play calling. They're going pass heavy. But I honestly think this is more on the defense than it is actually on Lamar Jackson. We look at those first 5 weeks, they were averaging 35 points per game against them. That Ravens defense, by far the worst in the NFL. Worse than the Bengals are right now, worse than the Dolphins, whoever it is. They were 32nd. And then after the bye, there's these last 2 games at least, 16 points per game. So they've had back-to-back good games on defense, 6 best in the NFL. They're not going to be a top 6 defense. But again, I don't think they're going to be 32nd going forward. I think that helps them out a lot.
I love this point. It's kind of, again, a continuation of what we were just talking about with Nate for the Thursday night preview, where my point was that I think the splits and sort of the stats for this Baltimore defense might look a little deceiving right now because they're getting a lot healthier. In addition to the fact that they did what they did with Kyle Hamilton last week, brought him into the box to kind of defend that Bears run game. I don't know if they're going to do that this week with just the way Miami runs the ball. I don't know if that makes as much sense. They might kick him actually back as the deep safety to protect against Jalen Waddle, who's been cooking this year. But nevertheless, like, I like where this defense is heading, which is important for our guy Derrick Henry here, Joel, because he's a great player, first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it, but he's still one of these backs that is game script sensitive. So if the defense can keep things close, that really is a big part of the equation for Derrick Henry.
Totally. Very offense dependent, how this offense is going is how he's going to go. Last year, they're winning a bunch of games and he was incredible. I think that'll start to turn around here. So I'm not overly worried about him in general. If we're looking at the age fall off, he hasn't fallen off at all. He's still been doing good. He still looks good, putting up good NFL numbers, even with Cooper Rush in there. So now that Lamar's back, I think that efficiency goes back up. We get a matchup this week. Miami is 32nd in those explosive carries allowed. Henry definitely brings that to the table, especially with Lamar Jackson back there taking some of that attention away. So I really like him for this Thursday too.
Well, good, because I've got some Derrick Henry teams, and we need him. We need to get off to a good start on Thursday night. Let's go to the next buzz is building. This is, again, more of a situation than a specific player.
Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. So going back to there after a couple of weeks, just with Dave Canales kind of coming out and saying, hey, we like Hubbard, but maybe it's time to give Rico Dowdle a little bit more looks, which is a really tough matchup this week. So it's going to be hard, but we look at Hubbard and Dowdle, just their efficiency. Some of these stats I don't love using always to look at efficiency, like yards per carry, but in this situation, it's the same team. So that's the big thing for me is they know this. If we know this, they know this. It's the same team, so we can look at all this, and it's 1 for 1, same offensive line, same offense. And Dowdle's numbers are incredible, and Hubbard's are pretty bad. Last in the NFL in explosive carries, last in missed tackles forced, second to last in yards after contact. This wasn't the case last year. It was a good offensive line last year. It's a good offensive line this year. So I don't know if it's maybe the injury coming into play or what it is, but Dowdle's been looking amazing. If he can get to 65 to 70% of those RB touches, of those RB carries, he can be that confident RB2 play.
Yeah, and I agree with you that generally I don't want to sit here and use yards per carry and some of this stuff to compare guys in different situations. And I really want to be, and I think Dave Canales has been trying to be fair to Chuba because he's a guy that you know how this works, Joel. In the NFL, they always say you can't lose your job due to injury. And I think that they've tried to have him come back and return to the lead back role, even if they have been kind of going series by series. But this is a team that needs to win football games. This is a head coach who benched the former number 1 overall pick at quarterback last year because he was not playing up to what they needed from him. And they played a former undrafted free agent in Jalen Coker last year when he was just one of the better guys in the room. It's a meritocracy there in Carolina. And I think that some of the reports out of Joe Person, who's covered the team forever, said that Dave knows the kind of difficulties of benching a popular or moving away from a popular player. Chuba's not going to get benched. He's not going to get 0 touches here, but you can see it. I can see it. The stats show it. Rico has just been better right now. So where do you think you'll end up kind of having him from a rankings perspective this week?
This week, a little lower just because of that Green Bay defense. We've seen this Panthers offense the last couple of weeks hasn't been as good. And when you're looking at those committee running backs, that affects them more than anything else. So we're looking at this defense. They're the number 3 against the run right now. They've been run on the least in the NFL. Like everybody knows that Packers defense is going to be able to stop the run. The big thing that I like this week in terms of his potential is Hubbard was getting the targets, the routes when he's been active. Dowdle's been that goal line guy, but it's kind of been Hubbard's backfield in the passing game. This past week was kind of that first week where it was more 50-50. They each had 10 routes out of the backfield those first 3 quarters. Hubbard kind of played at the end of the game when it was 40-3 at that point. But when the game mattered, it was 50-50 in terms of those routes too. So maybe he can get some passing game work, a playable like flex running back, but not the greatest matchup. After that is when I get a little bit more confident.
Totally. Yeah. So even if like Rico Dowdle doesn't have this smash this week, he still might be somebody that you can get ahead of your league's like trade deadline, especially if it doesn't work this week and he goes out as the starter. People are going to start to panic even more. But I agree that I think the tide is turning towards his favor at this point. And yeah, man, again, it's time. It's time for Carolina to start winning some games. Rico is on a cheap deal, but he can easily be somebody they extend long-term, and they have both these backs. And I still like how they've handled it, but I think it's just time to switch the rotation here a little bit. Get Rico the first drive of the game, because that's another thing here too, Joel. This team has driven me nuts this year with how slow they start. They always find themselves like quickly in a 10-point hole. You know what might help not doing that is maybe getting off onto the right foot. I mean, I think Dave even said this, like, we want to put our best foot forward. Like, yeah, you need to put your best back out there first so that you don't fall behind like 10 points like you've done every single other week.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Bryce Young can have that like second half resurgence after he comes back from this too. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, shoot, dude. It can't be any worse than Andy Dalton last week. I'll tell you that. All right, let's get to your next buzz is building situation here.
Yeah, we're going to be going to Tyrone Tracy, one that I'm scared to be confident in, but I am. Like, everything is pointing toward him being good in fantasy football. This is a guy, like, the start of the year, I was like hesitant on Scadaboo because it was like, I don't think Tracy's going to play himself out of this position. Like, he wasn't incredible last year, but he was good. Like, he was a good NFL player, and then obviously got hurt. But now that he's back healthy, these last 2 games, when Scadaboo was that number 1 guy, when he was off the field, whether there was injury or just him getting the breather, it was all Tyrone Tracy. So we look at last year, when Tyrone Tracy was a starter, 13 points per game, kind of that solid RB2. But the biggest downfall for him was the Giants were just getting blown out constantly. And when they got blown out, they would just throw the ball every single play. So when they did not lose by over 10 points, the Giants, he was getting 16 carries per game. When they lost by over 10 points, he was getting 8. So now that this defense is a little bit better, they have Jackson Dart, who's been better for the team in general. I do like it, just looking at the volume that he could have potentially in this offense.
Yeah, and I think, again, Dart being there, it can't be overstated, not just for the way he's made the team better, but also typically, Joel, we see these guys who scramble, they take off, they don't throw to their running back. Maybe it changes with a different running back. I don't want to just copy paste what we saw with, Cam Scadaboo and Jackson Dart, because those guys are like basically brothers from another mother type situation. But like maybe that just was this Cam Scadaboo thing. But Tyrone Tracy, former receiver, and Jackson Dart was willing to check it down and like throw to the running back. So that would really help Tracy this year as opposed to what we saw last year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Tracy's like rubbing his head up against Dart this weekend in the press conference. But last year, like,
probably not. I'm gonna say probably not on that, but we'll see.
we will see. Yeah, like in college, this guy was a pass catcher. Like, he was a receiver. So I was looking at it and kind of came into this saying like, oh yeah. And then I looked at the numbers. I was like, oh, his receiving actually like hasn't been the greatest. So hopefully they use him more in that way, because obviously he has that ability. But we're just looking at the volume for Scadaboo. These last 4 games, so kind of ever since Dart came in up until not counting the game that he was injured, his expected fantasy points per game was 3rd best among running backs to CMC and Jonathan Taylor. And in this offense, he was paying it off. Obviously, he was amazing. So maybe it's not 3rd best for Tracy, but like, I don't think it's falling all the way down to 25th or something like that. If he can have like a near RB12 in terms of the volume, he can be a great fantasy asset going forward that's more trusted in this offense just because they're giving him all that valuable work.
Yeah, I think he was a great waiver pick because the reality is you're just not going to find guys that are going to walk into starting, like clear starting running
Mm-hmm.
back jobs off the waiver wire. So I was happy to get him where I got him. I actually had him stashed in a couple places, so I was happy about that as well. But matchups the next 2 weeks too. Niners, Bears, that's looking pretty good for Tyron Tracy. So he's certainly got the runway here to start to make a difference. Let's go to your next situation here. And my God, I'm going to need you to help me out with this one because I have no idea what we're doing with the damn Vikings quarterback situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. JJ McCarthy. I have been shocked by the amount of people that are anti JJ McCarthy after like 1.5 games, 2 games through the year. And I get it, like it wasn't the greatest, but I even saw a tweet today where it was like, oh, we look back at that Falcons game and talked about how bad he was. Everybody's been bad against the Falcons except for Tua somehow. But everybody before Tua was horrible against the Falcons. Like no one's even throwing 200 yards against them. So that was like the one game. And then besides that, it was the Bears in week 1, which, yeah, he wasn't the greatest, but then he had that fourth quarter, which he was incredible. And everyone was like, oh, maybe this is a thing now. JJ McCarthy's going to be great. So I would rather trust in Kevin O'Connell, who, in terms of fantasy points, 6th best since he's been hired, and those receiving fantasy points provided. And every single guy that goes in there produces. So JJ McCarthy through 2 games. I'm trying not to panic too much about those 2 games. And we're looking at the schedule the rest of the way. Those receivers, number 1. JJ McCarthy himself, number 1. So a lot depends on the volume, but the schedule goes in their favor too.
Lions, Ravens, Bears, Packers, Seahawks, Washington, Dallas, New York, Detroit. So like I do see the spots here for this Vikings passing game. I was about not laugh at you, but laugh at the idea of like, well, yeah, no kidding. People are concerned with what they saw. It was horrific to start the year, but you do make a good point about the Falcons, and this is the point where like we know now a lot more than we did then. We know this Falcons defense can actually be really difficult to play against because, yeah, you're watching week 2 and you're like, JJ McCarthy can't even get it done against the damn Falcons. That defense hasn't been good since I was like in high school, which is a long time ago at this point. The defense hasn't been good since I was in high school. Oh, well, now we know it's actually been a pretty good unit. So that's a good point. I want to be open-minded to McCarthy, but I would be lying if I wasn't a little bit nervous. The fact they were willing to send, Carson Wentz with one shoulder out there, Joel, that's at least got to make you feel a little uncomfortable.
I know. Yeah, I think that is the big question going forward. Like the big, like what I'm going to be looking at this weekend isn't necessarily how many yards he has. How does JJ do? It is going to be how they use that passing attack in terms of the volume. Like we saw last week, they cannot run the ball. It hasn't been good in that way. In those first 2 games, McCarthy barely got to 20 passing attempts. Like when everyone was complaining about Jalen Hurts' passing volume, the only guy below him was JJ McCarthy through those first 2 games. So do they pass the ball? Do they trust him to go out there and sling it? Because these last 4 games, their pass rate over the expected positive every single time. Meaning in those neutral situations, they're going more pass first. So if that reverses course with JJ McCarthy coming in, that does worry me because Jefferson has 10 plus targets every single game this past month. So he wasn't bad with McCarthy to start the year. Wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. Had his 1 touchdown of the year in week 1. So hopefully better days going forward for him, especially in that positive touchdown regression. But that's the big thing I'm going to be looking forward to seeing is do they go out there and let JJ sling it?
All right, last one here. Let's do a little check-in on the Washington Commanders.
It's not as fun. Yeah. It's JJ or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Very similar. It is not identical, but the most similar comparison is what we talked about at the beginning. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels will help him in terms of that efficiency. But when we're looking at Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, his volume isn't as good as maybe when you're looking at the carries per game. He has the 6th best percentage in terms of the backfield carries over this last month, which is amazing. Like best running backs in the NFL and kind of JCM right there. But with that same exact month, he's 38th in expected fantasy points. That is right behind Kenneth Walker, which I feel like is a good example of he's not really getting any receiving work at all. The goal line work hasn't really been there because the offense hasn't really been there. So the volume isn't very valuable. With Jaden Daniels coming back, that does help. So that was his big game against the Chargers was with Daniels. Then it was kind of shaky. Daniels went down in that 3rd game. And then we saw last week with Mariota wasn't the greatest. So he does need Daniels. That helps. The matchup this week, not the greatest, but it is more of that boom bust going forward.
Yeah, I think more boom bust going forward. And when they're playing lighter competition, worse defenses, the game scripts can be closer. People will be able to see when those games, I think, are coming for JCM. And the best way to do that, guys, is to make sure you're following Joel on social media. He's helping you out with all these matchups. He's posting all these videos. So make sure you do that everywhere. TikTok. I know you got the Instagram, the Twitter, all the things. So make sure you follow Joel on social media for more players. And Buzz is building on all the things just like this. That is going to do it for this show. Thanks again to Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, who's all in all season. And don't forget to check out Toyota's game day giveaways for your chance to win. Shout out to Joel. Shout out to Nate Tice. Hell of a show today. Absolutely packed. We will be back tomorrow. Justin Boone joins me to preview everything you need to know for week 9. Well, that'll be here right again, live 5 p.m. Eastern. Until then, we are out.